Let's talk a little bit about Jude Bellingham. In fact, we don't need to right now because our FC team have put together a really lovely chat about the player. He has made an instant, incredible impact at Real Madrid. He's had a little break from domestic action now that it is international week, but we wonder if he can pick up where he left off after what has been an amazing start. Real Madrid have been very reliant on him as well so far, and you wonder if that can continue. But let's hear what our guys on the show had to say about him.
Welcome in then to the ESPN FC studios. I'm Dan Thomas, Craig Burley's here, as is Ali Moreno. Julien Laurent is with us. Jules, I want to start with you as a man based in London. We're going to discuss Jude Bellingham. How much has his impact at Real Madrid resonated in England? Because we know how blinkered they are. It's kind of Premier League and don't really pay much attention to anything else. His performance has been extraordinary, obviously. 5 goals in opening 4 games. Is anyone talking about it?
Yeah, loads of people, Dan. Of course, a lot of headlines on Jude Bellingham in the newspapers, on radio, on La Liga TV coverage, which is the channel that we have here in England. If you want to follow La Liga, I guess since the David Beckham years, really is the most popular league outside of the Premier League. You're right, the Premier League is everything here, but you still have a bit of time for La Liga, more than the other leagues, really. And I think helping by the fact that Jude is there and doing so well, that's had a lot of airtime over here since the start of the season.
Did you really think nobody would be talking about Jude Bellingham? I mean, everybody's talking about Jude Bellingham.
I was intrigued. I was intrigued because I know what England is like.
Yeah, but they have...
Compared to us here. Like, we watch everything here, you know, we can comfortably talk about other things. When it comes...
Are you saying they're very insular?
Yes, I think insular is exactly the right word.
But I think it's slightly different in the fact... I would agree with that, for sure. But I think it's slightly different in the fact that he is such a big star for them in their national team going forward. Has been already and will be. He will be the main guy for many a year to come. And it's just how Southgate is going to build this around attacking players, but mainly him, you know, and how they're going to use Jude Bellingham. So I think because of that, it's unthinkable that they will not be really talking about him.
If you look at the sample size of English players that have gone and played abroad, more have failed than succeeded. I think overall, there are obviously many exceptions.
British. British players.
Well, I was focusing on English players.
You
want to go British?
Yeah, Britain.
Okay, all right then. Okay, right.
English, all England again, isn't it?
Well, Jude Bellingham is English.
Yeah.
Yes.
When he lived in Britain.
But yeah,
British players go abroad, right? Anyway,
all right.
You're annoying me.
British English players go abroad. What is it about him that has made him hit the ground running so quickly in this environment?
Not only are we talking about La Liga environment, but Real Madrid within La Liga environment, which I think it's a bigger stage than any really in Spain. And so we look at him and him being the big signing player for Real Madrid and what the expectations were for him coming in. And what you see from him is a level of maturity that I think it was clear to see at Borussia Dortmund, but now even more so at Real Madrid. You may have thought he's just kind of going to ease his way into Real Madrid. No. From the very beginning, he has been the guy, the reference point. And even the formation that Ancelotti has put on the field features him as a player and highlights his skill set. The other thing that I think is important from Jude Bellingham's perspective is that while he may be 20 years old, the physicality of Jude Bellingham, just him showing up in the locker room. Let me just say this, Dan. Jude Bellingham walking into that locker room would be a whole lot different than, say, for example, you or Seb or myself even walk into that locker room. The physicality and the presence of Jude Bellingham, that it demands attention, it demands respect. And then you see the guy playing with the ball at his feet. Then you see what he is on the field. And of course you want to be part of that, and Real Madrid have taken full advantage.
There's not a very good examples there, particularly him and Sebi.
I'm just saying.
I can't believe I'm catching straight.
But you know what? I think the best thing that he did was when he left Birmingham City as a 16-year-old, he went to Dortmund. It's a different country, big club. I think had he stayed in England and moved from Birmingham to maybe, say, one of those insular English clubs, and then made the move to Real Madrid, I don't think they'd be getting as good and as mature a player. I think the fact that what he did in that move, those 3 years in Germany at Dortmund, with the lifestyle, the cultural difference, and the league, was absolutely perfect for him. And I think that enhanced his progression. There's no doubt about it. And the fact now that he is so comfortable, and he was comfortable in his press conference just to walk in and feel as if he was at home. That was one of the most amazing things.
I can also say that the fact that from a young age he's been at Dortmund, he's been abroad already, right? So living abroad is not this thing that is so somehow mysterious. Oh my God, he's leaving England to go somewhere else and play? Yeah, that can happen. And he has done that. He went to Dortmund and succeeded at Dortmund, now goes to Spain, and it's not a different experience in the sense of living abroad. This is what he does.
Right.
And he just allows the language that is common for everybody in Real Madrid is playing the game. And that is something that Jude Bellingham has been outstanding, not only in his time with Real Madrid, but we have seen this coming. It is not a surprise that he's doing so well. I think what is a surprise is that he's doing so well so early.
But Real Madrid need him doing well because they haven't been great.
No, it's not easy for us Brits to live abroad, you know. There's cultural differences, and you've got to try and...
Oh, yeah, very much so.
You've got to try and embrace it.
Yeah.
What was your question?
My question was, Real Madrid have not been very good.
No.
He's carried them so far. And
Them and Barcelona haven't been very good, and he has, yeah.
So will this Real Madrid side improve, or are they a case that when Bellingham's honeymoon is over, this team is going to dip?
There is a chance that may happen, and you call it the honeymoon. I mean, let's just say his form takes a dip.
What's wrong with honeymoon?
They're two different things.
Not really.
So
he's come in. It's been great. It's like when you get married. Everyone's
so
happy.
say he has a quiet 3 or 4 games.
How long did your honeymoon period last?
Oh,
Which one? The actual honeymoon?
Yeah.
Or, 24 hours. And it went terribly after that. Nobody backed me up. The supporting cast for him, you don't want to know about, Mama. The supporting cast for Jude
Better go.
Story now.
That's when, this is supposed to be a serious segment here.
I don't know.
That is when the others are going to have to step up. Vinicius Junior has had a little pipe up about his possession. Rodrigo's played. Tchouameni's played. Camavinga, Valverde, they've all played okay. He's been the guy that's got them over the line. If he has a little quiet period, others will have to step into those big shoes.
Jules, who's going to win La Liga?
I said Barcelona, so I have to stick to Barcelona. I think it would be tight, and Atletico Madrid will be there too. But I still think that Barca can win it and can beat this Real Madrid team.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Just a reminder, there is plenty more content here regarding La Liga and the other leagues in Europe as well, and indeed MLS here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe. You don't have to always hear about Craig's honeymoon. Who wants to know about that? You'd have to laugh at him, though, suddenly calling Jude Bellingham British. Now he wants to claim him as British and not just English, given his success. I know what you're up to, Craig Burley. But Janusz, they can't continue to win games in the manner that they have been for the start of the season, and they can't be relying on him to do that every week, can they?
No, and they don't have to. They just have to stay within reach when everybody is back. That's the name of the game for any big club in the world, right? We often talk about Manchester City. We talk about Bayern Munich sometimes. We talk about slow starts. Right now, last time I checked, they're top of the league. They've won every game so far. I think they'll be tested. We'll find out a little bit more in the next couple matches, right? I think they have Sociedad and Atleti coming up. So that's going to be the real test, not just for Jude Bellingham, but for Real Madrid. But look, he's been a bonus to Real Madrid. Nobody expected that. So he walked into this massive club with massive expectations. The one thing I would say about him is, first and foremost, Carlo Ancelotti created a system that's good for him, right? I mean, he recently said that, he's their Benzema. I don't think he said that ahead of the season, but when he saw what he's capable of once he had him there, I think he created that system that helped Bellingham. Maybe has hurt Vinny Jr. in the beginning before he was injured, but I think, Bellingham will continue to probably play well. I don't know if he's going to be scoring every game, but for Real Madrid, it's just a question of waiting on Vinny Jr. to get healthy. I think you're going to get, goals from him, from Rodrigo. You have midfield that's second to none, right, in terms of experience and quality. And Tchouameni and Camavinga coming up with Kroos and Modric providing the experience from time to time. The goalkeeper situation is not as bad as everybody thought. Thibaut Courtois is an excellent goalkeeper, but Kepa is not too bad. Last time I checked, and Militao, of course, is missed as well. So they don't have to rely on him. The one thing I will say about Bellingham is that why did he go there? I mean, obviously he was an excellent player, but I think, the scouting department or everybody involved with Real Madrid probably saw a young man that has already had massive or big personality. And we know that. We've heard that maybe the dressing room at Borussia Dortmund kind of felt that, I don't want to say he was too big-headed, but too sure of himself, a little bit arrogant. But you know what? You need to be that type. And I don't know him personally, because that could be a positive and a negative at the same time. But you certainly have to have that big personality, that little bit of arrogance to come into Real Madrid and do what Jude Bellingham has done at such an early age, right? I mean, it doesn't happen by chance. You can provide a formation, a system of play, and everything else. But when you look around the walls, right, when you get into the Bernabeu and you look at some of the stars, and we've mentioned, how great can he be? I don't know how great, but, having the Zinedine Zidane and follow into footsteps in that midfield and all that, it's certainly not easy. So I think, aside from his obvious talent, the personality has to be unbelievably strong to do what he's done early on.
Just on that too. Sorry, and just on that note, because I think there's an it quality. People talk about that a lot, but you can see it in certain people. And I'm from a personal experience, I cover a lot of college basketball. I know it's a global show, so I'll give you a couple global stars. When you saw Joel Embiid like 8 years ago, we were talking to Bill Self. Andrew Wiggins was the #1 draft pick that year, but Bill Self says, no, that's the best player I've ever coached. Embiid weighed 80 pounds less than he does now. He just was off. He just was first week or so at KU. And he knew that was going to be that guy. And when you see him practice, you're like, man, he's got something. And the coach knows it right away. Ask Coach K about Zion. The smile that Coach K had, he's pretty good. That and then you watch him practice, you're like, holy cow, this kid he's got something else. And it's not just about him doing 360 windmill dunks. It's how he carried himself, how he played. Now he's got issues in New Orleans. Now we know that. But how he did then looked a different way. Whenever you talk to people that were around Bellingham or talk to people at Dortmund, it seemed like it came through the same way. That this dude, despite your point, Janusz, about the ego, that could be good and bad, but he carried himself in a manner of almost above. They had an aura about him and a confidence about him at a very young age, and a maturity about him clearly that he developed, as the guys mentioned, from going abroad at 16, succeeding in a young Dortmund team at a high level, and coming to one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in the world, and doing this has been remarkably impressive. That said, Sociedad, Union Berlin in the middle of the week at a group stage game. I think it's the early game on Wednesday as well, and then you finish with Atleti in the weekend. This is a huge week, and with a depleted squad with injuries, no, he can't be expected to do the same thing all the time. But the system built around him allows him to succeed. He has to play at a very high level, but he's going to need help. Vinny Jr. getting back healthy is obviously huge. He's one of the best players in the world. Having him out of that lineup is big. The goalkeeper situation hasn't been an issue to this point, Janusz, but I think there's questions to be asked about how they play at that position and how Thibaut is filled in, because you knew what you had back there. It's different with Kepa, but we'll see how things play out. I think overall, this team is still capable of winning, and the odds makers have it that -140. So if you got to bet $140 to win 100. That's a heavy favorite right now. Barcelona right now is 1.5 times your money if you bet them to win the league. So they still really feel that Real Madrid is the right team, and given that 2-point lead, that may be the case. But check the odds in about 9 days, because if they don't get a result against Sociedad and they don't against Atleti, the whole thing flips.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.